everyone, my name is Brisa,
And I'm Katy,
and you're listening to a No Clue podcast.
a space where we'll be having normal conversations that will have no clue what we'll talk about, hablando de nuestras vidas cotidianas y de nuestras experiencias espirituales.
Two
Two
individuals
individuals
finding
finding
our
our
space
space
into this
into this
universe.
universe. Hello!
Hello.
Oh my goodness, how are you?
I'm doing.
Doing. I know, this day has been really long.
And it gets longer
Mhm.
as we go.
Yeah. Let me just tell you.
No,
Oh
ya
man.
sé.
Oh my goodness. So, for whatever reason, cemeteries came up to mind. Have you been to a cemetery before?
I I have. I have.
Hello?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you had just frozen for a
Yeah, I
minute, and I was
know.
like, hello? I was like, don't do that to me.
I'm inside the coffin doing knock knock.
Ain't no way. Oh my God, no. Oh my goodness,
No.
you're ruthless.
I I've been to the cemetery, well, just recently, yeah. When grandma passed away,
Hmm.
I was in the
Did,
cemetery. That was one of the longest, well, actually, one of my first longest until we went the second time. It
mhm.
was one of the longest times that I've been in the cemetery. But other than that, it was just before it was like a in and out thing, solamente to
Hmm.
leave like flower arrangements
Yeah.
my grandfather's grave or my uncle's grave or
Hmm.
and that will be it, just to clean the air, just clean the area. Um, and that was it. But the
That was it.
longest, yeah, the longest have been when grandma passed away. That
Yeah.
was my longest.
Hmm. Oh my goodness. I wasn't there, sadly.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
But did you experience anything? Like, was this during the time that you were aware of, you know, the mystical, the magical, and the spiritual?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Pero I um when grandma passed, yeah,
Hmm.
what um I have already been working, with this old spiritual stuff. Yeah. I didn't pick up anything, and I'm gonna say because it's grandma. You're in a vulnerable state.
Yeah,
You're not worrying about what you feel, what you see in your surroundings, but you're more focused on where you at the moment, with your
yeah.
family
Hmm.
and making sure igual, because my mom, um,
Hmm.
making sure that she was okay as well. Um, but no, I didn't feel anything. I did get sick. I did get sick. I did remember
Oh.
and ese día, like the time that she got buried, it
Hmm.
was, I'm gonna say like twelve,
In
around
the
12
afternoon?
in the afternoon, 12 or
Mm.
1. And at that time, the sun was beaming.
Oh.
So, um, it was really hot. I do remember it was
Hmm.
really hot. But for some reason, that knowing that the weather, that, it was hot,
Hmm.
during that, in May of last year, mm, I don't know if Mexico had like the heat wave, but usually around May is always hot. But last
Really?
year, yeah, last year, from what my mom and my dad would say, that last year was one of the hottest years that they ever encountered.
Wow,
And,
okay.
o sea, ahí in Santana.
Sí.
Um, And and my body felt cold. Like I felt cold.
Yeah.
And I then
Oh.
I at the moment when I was there, I felt like I really needed to like to throw up. I
Mm.
got really sick. Sick in the sense of like feeling that I was gonna faint
Okay.
at a moment.
Yeah.
Um, like so I would feel that I will have people talking to me, pero lo sentía yo like far away from me, like at distant. Like I was there, but I wasn't there,
See.
you know?
Fascinating. Oh my goodness.
And but I think it was just, you know, me because I felt like I was holding my emotions,
Your
you know.
emotions. Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to grandma's house,
Mm-hmm.
I went to the bathroom and I tried to throw up. I tried to throw up, but I couldn't. And then one of my sisters, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I really feel like I don't feel good. I really feel like I'm gonna throw up."
Mm-hmm.
And and then and then she gave me a piece of gum. She gave me gum to kind of start chewing to see, you know,
Is that
if
my
the
mom?
nauseous. No, no, no. Tia
No?
Dalia.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, okay. Mm-hmm.
She gave me a gum to chew and to have the nauseous go away.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't, and I tried to throw up, and I, at the end, I did, and
Oh,
that was,
okay.
I felt like I started to feel better, like I felt like my temperature of my body started to come, you know, to be normalized, and
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, like I didn't feel anything else, like
Mm-hmm.
anything other than, you know, like if you're asking, you know, if I was to, you know, see any other spirits or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like
No.
I think I wasn't there for that, you know,
Okay.
for to
Mm-hmm.
say.
See.
Um, like my attention and my focus was at the moment that I was in.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, the only reason I had brought it up, um, was because I hadn't been to a cemetery either. Most recent, well, sí, mentira, mentira. Pero quería platicar sobre las experiencias que yo he tenido
Hmm.
in being in a cemetery. I feel like I've been
Which have been a lot.
uh, okay, okay. It has been a lot, but to actually step foot on a cemetery,
Hmm.
pienso que nomás son dos veces. I've been near cemeteries. Um, now you got me thinking. I think it has been more than two, but I've been near cemeteries more than I've actually stepped foot on.
Hmm.
So there's a difference there. Um, y so mi primera experiencia, like I've never had up until at well in this timeline that I'm talking about, I've never had like a relative pass away. And if they did, then unfortunately, you know, we were unable to travel.
Hmm.
Um, pero fue un año, I was in high school, fue un año que una de mis amigas me invitó a ir con ella y con su familia a, al cementerio to pay respects to their loved one. Pienso que era como el aniversario de su fallecimiento o un
Hmm.
cumpleaños. I don't know why, but I want to say it was a birthday. No, no. It was one of those. Um, y entonces, on the way there, I was fine. And it's funny that you bring that up because, like, como te estabas, like, how you were feeling, because, um, when we got to the parking lot of the cemetery,
Hmm.
I had the worst motion sickness, and I was fine prior to the light. Like, I was
Right.
fine.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I got really bad motion sickness. I felt like throwing up. I didn't feel cold. I didn't feel cold at this. this particular moment. Um, but I just felt really nauseous, just really like I had a headache. I was not feeling it. Um, and so, like I said, my first time being at a cemetery, um, they had already started walking towards a donde está the
Mm-hmm.
headstone of their loved one. And I kind of stayed back. And like I said, fue mi primera vez. I don't know what within me dijo que todavía no, que I had to ask for permission prior to stepping foot onto the land
Yes.
or the
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
grass. And so, like at this time, I had just closed that off for myself. I had just closed that spiritual, like I became a skeptic, pues,
You became
for
a
lack
skeptic,
of better words.
or you were a skeptic.
No, I became a skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
Because te digo porque antes estaba yo experiencing stuff with my own relatives, pero
Mm-hmm.
eso fue cuando mis papás were like, no, that's bad. Like, that's not really happening. You're not
Okay.
really experiencing
Mm-hmm.
this. So then, entonces,
So
por
you
eso
were
digo
shut
que I
down.
became, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I just shut
Mm-hmm.
down. I shut down that ability, pues. Y Y entonces algo me entró, me dijo, pide permiso primero antes que entres a este espacio. Entonces, eso fue lo que hice. I had closed my eyes and I had asked, for permission that I was only here to pay respects, that I had accompanied a friend and their family, and that they were here to visit, and that I mean no harm, and that for whatever reason, if they don't want me there, to let me know. But after that, I stopped feeling the motion sickness. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped feeling the headache. I just stopped feeling the symptoms I had while
Right.
entering the parking lot. So, we were there. Um, and my friend and their family were like reminiscing on their memories with their loved one, and I want to say we were there for like a good 30 minutes, and then after those 30 minutes como que ya um it was a hot day. I do remember that they had made a comment about like it being time to go, that it was getting hot, um and so they had started walking. They had started walking, and for whatever reason I stayed back. And I kind of just I remember like crisscross applesauce and taking a seat. Um and I remember closing my eyes. Um and I don't want to say that I went into a meditative state because I didn't even know this whole meditative state,
Uh-huh.
you know.
It was a thing.
It was a thing, right? Like I wasn't that open.
Do you remember how
um
old you were?
I was in high school. I was in high school. I want to say somewhere freshman or junior year. Junior year. I want to say it was in junior year. Junior year,
About 16,
16, 17.
17. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and so I had closed my eyes and I started picking up um on this loved one. And I know prior and past videos, I have always said that spirits now come to me blurry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, but back then, it didn't come to me blurry. I saw crystal clear, como que si estaba en la frente de mí. Um, and she started telling me like little details about herself, little details about the family, and just like, we were just having a conversation. It was a very nice conversation. Um, y después, I thanked her for the opportunity. Um, And I had told her that I wasn't sure what this was, if this was all in my head. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
know what exactly I was experiencing, but I had just said thank you. I had said thank you to the land. I had said thank you, just to everyone. And I was like, I don't mean any disrespect. Y en eso que me levanto y que comienzo a caminar. And when I reach my friend's family, because they were already by the parking lot, they were like, "Are you okay? Because you were out there for 20 minutes or more. Like, are you okay?" And I was like, "What? No way. Like, time did not exist for me. I
Yeah. You
cuando me
felt that
senté."
it was a short thing?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
I felt like I had just popped the squat and then I was like, "Okay." And then, like time did
You
not,
left, yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah, like it did not go by for me at all. And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And they were like, "Because you were out there for 20 minutes." And I was like, "No, I wasn't." And they're like, "Yeah, you were." And
¿Fue
I was
una
like,
abuelita?
"See, yeah,
Mm.
it was." That's actually pretty cool. Oh my God. This happened
Yeah,
years ago.
because I got right when I started hearing grandma, and I wrote it down.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was a grandma. Um, and so, we had started driving back home. I was no longer feeling anxious or that motion sickness at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we had gotten home, we had settled in, y no sé, pienso que ellos fueron que me preguntaron que
El
por qué me
tiempo.
tardé,
Ujú.
ajá. Y entonces les comencé a platicar de las cosas que ella me estaba diciendo. Y ellos en shock. They're like, pero how do you know this stuff? Like, ¿cómo
Ujú.
sabes esto? Like, si no te, en serio, nunca me platicaron de ella, nunca vi fotos de ella, like, nunca era alguien que, that they would talk
Talk
about.
about.
Um, on like on a daily or on during the holidays. Like it was never something that would come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a felt ashamed. Like I definitely felt ashamed because I was like, oh my God, did what I bring up like trigger something? Like,
Right.
I was just really like insecure about what I had said. I was like, I shouldn't have said that. Like I shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
said what I brought up. And they were really kind. They were like, no, like we appreciate it. Like it um, it's really cool that you were able to get that information. And I was like, okay. But still me quedé con esa pena, pues. Me quedé con esa
Mm-hmm.
pena. Y y that was my first time stepping foot on a
In the
cemetery.
cemetery.
And like I said, I was not opened. I had closed all of that away. Like I no longer accepted it as what I accept it now, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Entonces, I was shocked as well.
Shocked.
Like
Mm-hmm. Like what
what did
happened
I just,
here? Yeah.
yeah, like what happened? What do you mean I
Yeah.
was
What
sitting
did
there
you
for 20
experience?
minutes?
Yeah.
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 And I questioned myself, like, did I really experience that or was that just a dream?
Mm-hmm.
Um, y esa fue mi primera. Mi segunda, the second one was at this time I was living in California and I was with Jorge's family, and at this time my suegra was cleaning schools.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so we had offered our help, and so we went to go help her. And I remember we had left pretty late. Like we had left the house like around 10:30. We got to our location like close to 11. Y era una escuela. And let me tell you that when I got into that parking lot, I was like, no, I want to go. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to go home. I was like, I don't like this feeling. And Jorge had asked me what feeling. And I was like, I just feel like we're being watched. Like, I don't like this feeling at all. And I was like, I'm really cold. And it wasn't a cold night ese día. Pero for whatever reason, my bones shaking, shaking. Like if I was
Wow.
doing the merengue or something. I was just cold. I was like, I do not like this feeling. I was like I started feeling like not nauseous, but I had a terrible migraine. I did not like, I don't know, the idea of being there, I suppose. And then Jorge had made a joke and he was like, ah, es que te estás recordando de tus olden days. And I was like, ain't no way.
Your
Um,
golden days.
yeah. My golden years. My prime. Um, y ya en eso, we had gone inside the school and we started cleaning. Um, and I want to say it was like an elementary school, or it was like it had like, yeah, no, an elementary school. Quiero decir
Hmm.
que fue un elementary school. And I remember my suegra asking me to start vacuuming. And I was like, okay. So I had plugged it in and I was vacuuming, I was vacuuming. Y de repente se apaga. Like it wasn't unplugged, it wasn't anything. Se apaga.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. Y entonces I go tell her and I was like, hey, like, ¿ha tenido problemas con la vacuum? And she was like, no, ¿por qué? And I was like, because a mí ya se me apagó. Y dice, no. Dice, no. Dice, enchúfala y chúfala otra vez. And I was like, okay. I did it. I started vacuuming. Otra vez se me apagó. I was like, ain't no way.
You might need a new
So
vacuum.
because we no longer had the vacuum, like it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't working for me. I had told Jorge, I was like, you take over the vacuum and I'll do whatever you're doing. And he was
Hmm.
just wiping down the tables and he was like, okay. And tell me why para él se le aprendió just fine. No, it wasn't turning
You
off.
had a lot of energy in your body. You turn it off.
It wasn't turning off. It wasn't anything. It was working perfectly fine. And he was like, what's wrong with it? And I was like, it was turning off for me. And he was like, it's working just fine. He's like, you, he was like, I guess you only know how to use the toy vacuum. You remember that toy vacuum that you would move in, it would do those popping
The
sounds?
little poppy sets, yeah. The
Yeah.
ones that has the little pelotitas inside.
Yeah, the little pelotitas de color. And it was so funny because there was one at the school, and I was like, ain't no way. And so, and so I had taken over what he was doing. He was like, after he had finished vacuuming the whole room, he was like, ya ves, a mí no se me apagó. Dice, es que tú no sabes cómo usar el vacuum. And I was like, whatever. I was like, I guess not. Y después en eso que mi suegra me mandó, I guess no, I can't say I guess. The school had a shed
Hmm.
outside, a donde tenían bolsas y todo eso, ¿verdad? Entonces ella me mandó a que fuera a traer unas cosas. En primera, ya era noche. It was late. It was like, at this time, I want to say it was like midnight. It was late. I don't like the dark. I mean, the school has lights and everything, but for whatever reason, this one night, just one light was on. One light that was beaming, lighting up half of the playground. And I was like, ain't no way. Y en eso que voy y traigo las cosas. And I don't know why, but I start seeing like little figures
Hmm.
to, for whatever reason, something told me to turn a little to the left. And ahí fue a donde I started seeing like little outlines. And so at first I thought they were like, oh, it's a tree branch or something, right? But I kept getting this eerie feeling that I was being watched.
Okay.
So I text Jorge and I was like, come outside and bring the flashlight because we had a flashlight. I was like,
Hmm.
bring a flashlight. And he came outside and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, but I don't like this feeling. Like, I feel like I'm being watched. And I was like, and I'm really cold. And I was like, it's not. there's no type of weather right now for me to be feeling this cold.
Mm-hmm.
Y entonces que él prende la luz y que le digo, point it that way, y que lo prende, headstones. As far as these eyes could see, headstones. I was like, oh my God. I
Uh-huh.
was like, no way. I run inside. I run inside and I'm like, suegra. And I was like, did you know that there was a cemetery like literally right next door to the school? And she was like, no. She was like, yo no veo. She was like, yo nunca le he ponido atención a esas cosas. And I was like, nunca le he ponido atención. I was like, I do. I
Yeah.
pay attention.
Yeah.
um, Y en eso, she was like, no, no, she was like, no, no pongas atención, nada pasa, dice.
Mm-hmm.
Dice, I've come to the school all the time, dice, y sola, y nada me ha pasado a mí. And I was like, that's not the point. The point is that why is there a school next to a cemetery? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would the city allow this? Um, and I was like, okay. So en eso que terminamos de limpiar and we start going out and we start walking to the car with everything, with all the supplies that we had brought in. Y, y en lo que estamos caminando, que yo escucho kids laughing. And it sounded like a handful of kids. Like it did not sound like one or two kids. No, it sounded like a playground full of kids laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh heck no. I was like, I am never coming here again. I was like, I can't, I'm not, I'm not coming here. And the entire time, like that we were there, I continually felt like there was eyes staring at me from like all corners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't really say all corners, but like this was an open space, but I just felt like I was being watched.
Watched. Yeah.
Y entonces we had left and we started driving, and I kept getting this feeling of like that I was being watched.
Mm-hmm.
And then after X amount of distance, I wasn't feeling like that anymore. And I wasn't feeling cold and I wasn't having that migraine anymore. But I remember telling Jorge, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is there a cemetery next to a school for children, like little kids? Like, why is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Is really curious how you didn't know that there was a cemetery behind the school or near the school, but your body was already feeling that, that there was
Yeah,
something
I felt
not I'm not
closeness.
gonna say that it's not okay, but it was just picking up something maybe not
Yeah,
normal.
like my, uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that throughout this journey that I have learned that our body is our antenna, of picking up what we don't
Yeah.
see with our bare eyes. You know, sometimes we could
Hmm.
walk into a
Yeah.
room full of people, and you know how sometimes you feel it like right away that is either something not good or something is, gonna be good. And it's just that your body is sensing it. Your body is that
And
antenna.
it's sensitive.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I genuinely did not like that feeling at all for a good portion of my life.
Hmm.
I did not like that feeling at all. No, y las demás historias que faltan. Um, but no, like now looking back at what I was experiencing, I was like, literally right there in my face, like literally they were trying to get my attention
Right.
and I was listening. And
Mm-hmm.
like I was doing my best to ignore what I could, but there was just some things that I couldn't ignore. Like that you ever get that feeling of being watched?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like
Mm-hmm.
it like it's a gut feeling. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like with me personally, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this gut instinct that I like someone's watching me. I don't like that feeling.
And the thing is that these were kids, you know.
Yeah.
These were kids. Um, and I guess obviously kids are always gonna try to find to get your attention.
Hmm.
And actually making that vacuum to stop working, that was actually trying, I was grabbing your attention, they were trying to do something for them
Yeah,
to be
because
noticed that
ujú,
they were
porque
there.
solamente, ajá, porque solamente a mí me estaba pasando eso, que el vacuum se pagaba solo.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that day, Jorge was using it, my suegra was using it, y a ellos no se le pagaban. And I was like, now they think I don't know how to use a vacuum. Like,
Vacuum.
it's
Hey, bring
literally
out
a
the
button.
broom.
I I had to. That's so funny that you bring that up because we had to use I had to use a broom for part of it because it wasn't coming. The vacuum wasn't turning on. Um,
Did you ever research like that school or that
no.
area?
No, I was terrified. I did no, I was terrified porque I know I had said that I was never gonna go back there, but we
You
there was
had
a
to go
number
back.
of times that we
Yeah.
had offered to help her, clean. Um, and we were going back and oh my God. Oh my God. That first time that I went was the most that I felt.
Right.
Um, and then habían otras occasions a donde también my body would sense, pero yo en ese momento I'm like,
Oh, you'll brush it off.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like they're over here making fun because they literally would make fun of me each time we would go about no le den a Katy
La
¿cómo se llama?
aspiradora.
La aspiradora porque no la sabe usar. And I was like, oh my God. So I was just like, whatever.
Also, it was a thing there now.
Yeah, it was a thing there now. So I was like, no, no. But there was another place, and I don't want to say it was a school. I want to say it was more like a daycare center. Um, a donde we would go clean, help her clean often as well. Actually, actually, this was the second or third location that we would go to. Um, and we went in the first time, la primera vez we went in, and I remember it was me, my husband, and my suegra. It was the three of us, and I remember walking in and my suegra telling me to wipe down the desks,
Hmm.
and Jorge had gone outside to get the rest of the stuff, and my suegra had gone to the bathroom, which was a little bit farther from where I was at. And I remember hearing footsteps, like like not just little tippy taps, like
Big footsteps. Como un
big footsteps.
adulto. Ajá.
Yes, yes. And occasionally hasta llaves, like the keys,
Of a
doing the
janitor.
like chingling. I don't know, like
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember Jorge came in with the stuff, and I was like, I hear footsteps. Like, I don't think we're the only ones here. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, let's stay right here. Your mom's in the bathroom. I was like, but let's stay right here. And I was like, a ver si escuchas algo. And while I was able to hear them loud and clear, Jorge was giving me a face like, I don't hear anything. And I was like, what do you mean you don't hear anything? I was so upset. I was getting so frustrated because I was like, how can you tell me you cannot hear that? I was like, that's loud. That's
Right.
really loud. And he's like, I don't hear anything. Like, there's nothing. And I was like, no, there really is. And so then he told his mom.
Uh-huh.
Like, I remember him telling his mom. And he was like, Ama, he was like, ¿has escuchado footsteps? And she was like, ¿cuáles footsteps? She was like, nomás lo de ustedes. And I was like, I haven't moved. And then Jorge was like, well, she probably heard me walking in. And I was like, okay. And I was like, just stop. I was like, ya no le digas más, ya no le digas nada más. I was like, but and I remember that night going back, um, when we had finished. We were exiting out, and for whatever reason I was the last person out of that room, like out of that building.
The building. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And again, I heard the footsteps, and I heard the llaves, and like, making that clashing sound. And I was like, oh heck no. I was like, I'm out. I was like, I'm out, I'm leaving. And so I remember later that night we had arrived back home. Ya eran como las una, las dos. Like, it was late. It was late. But my husband's family le encantan tomar el café at any time of day. They
Mm-hmm.
love drinking coffee. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I could never. I get jittery. Not me.
Mm-mm.
I was
We
like, let
had
me.
coffee. What time did we have coffee today? Like around, was it? No, around three?
You know
Somewhere
what?
around there.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I can't. I'm more of a tea person. I love my tea. I can drink my
Oh,
tea any
I
time
mean,
of day.
yeah, I could do teas any time of day too, but I could do coffee as well.
Oh, no, no. Pero ese día me recuerdo que Jorge y mi suegra se hicieron un café, un vaso de café. I think I need coffee right now. Un vaso de café, and we had sat down, and my suegra was started asking me. She's like, ¿Y tú qué? She's like, ¿Y tú qué? Dice, estás escuchando cosas que no están ahí. And I was like, pero I heard them. Like, I really heard,
Hmm.
like footsteps. And she was like, dice, ay, dice, pobrecita, es que tienes tanto sueño. Dice que ahora estás escuchando cosas. I was like,
No
oh
way.
my God. I was like, you're probably right. I mean, I was tired. Um, and she was like, yeah, and she was like, go, yeah, acuéstate a dormir. Dice, yeah. She was like, es que estás muy cansada. And I was like, yeah, yeah.
So you used to do this cleaning during the night,
Yeah,
during the
during the
evening?
night.
Oh,
No,
okay.
era en la noche. Era
Oh,
en
en
la
la
noche.
noche. So
Sí,
wait,
porque we would still go to work.
behind is okay, you will have your regular job during the
hmm
day and then in the night you
Yeah.
will go with her and
And
clean.
sometimes it would just be me and her, because I remember Jorge at that time, he would work doubles. And sometimes it would just
Mm,
be me and my suegra, or one of
her
one of
kids.
my
Mhm.
sister-in-laws, yeah. Um but
And was there a
yeah.
cemetery behind or close near this?
I don't know. Eso sí no
Oh,
te
you don't
puedo
know?
decir. I don't know. I don't know. But that first cemetery we went to, well, that first cemetery, ya escúchame, cemetery. La primera escuela que fuimos, I ended up having to go do a job there in broad daylight. And I
Mm,
saw the cemetery for what it is. That cemetery was big.
it's big.
Like, it was a big cemetery. Well, at least to me it looked big. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What doesn't count as big. Um, but for me at that time, that cemetery was really big. Like,
Mm.
yeah, like a couple blocks big. Um, I remember telling my coworker that day, I was like, I don't like this school. I don't. Um, but I don't know. I don't remember. I have to ask Jorge and get back to you guys on that one. A ver si se recuerda él. Um, so that was my. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think maybe there was a cemetery, but not cerca, como the first one, que la escuela estaba ahí,
Right
¿verdad?
behind
I
it.
think it
Mm-hmm.
was more down a certain street or something. Um, and so my third and final cemetery experience was recently. Um, Last year we went to Mexico y we went to my dad's pueblo y fuimos al Campo Santo. Um, so my grandma had passed away on my dad's side in 2017. And unfortunately, yo no pude ir. I had to travel for work. So I couldn't go. Um, and so it had been 5 years
Since.
since.
Mm-hmm.
It had been 5 years since. Y ¿ves que le hacen la celebración de vida? O
Mm-hmm.
bueno, en los pueblos, ajá,
Mm-hmm.
le hacen la celebración,
The service.
the
Mm-hmm.
service, ajá, de vida. Um, so that night, it it was that Sunday night, all family came, music came, everybody. Apparently, and I didn't know this, apparently la costumbre es que no duermen. No duermen.
It's a
I
whole
did
night.
not know that. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
We tried our absolute best to stay awake. I'm ashamed to say that I went to bed at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I we could not. I mm-mm. Um, and then it's a whole night. And then by the time we woke up at 7 on Monday morning. E Everybody that was awake at night was still awake. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's some strength right there because not me.
Well,
I
I mean
love
that all of
sleeping.
that. I mean, if you know that if there's people that it's from town, that is culture, they know,
Hmm.
you
They
know.
know. Sí, la costumbre.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had fallen asleep. My dad, I remember he said that he didn't, oh no, he did take a nap, but that he had
Mm-hmm.
woken up. Um, he had woken up y the mariachi came. Oh, pues banda, no fue mariachi, fue banda que vino. And like around noon that day, we had started going to the Campo Santo, and
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was a beautiful experience to be a part of, but also heartbreaking because I never got to really settle in the fact that my grandma was gone. Um, so it really hit me once we got to the Campo Santo. It like really hit me. I did not hold back. I really shed some tears. Um, I really shed some tears that day. And everyone paid their respects. And I was the last one. I was the last one.
Once
Um,
again.
Once again, always the last one. I can't be in a scary movie. I can't. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I was the last one. Well, I wasn't alone. Jorge was there, my sister was there with me, and some of my cousins, that I knew when they were children, like babies, and
Mm-hmm.
for them,
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah, to stick around, that really touched my heart. That really touched my heart, the way that they got emotional watching me get emotional. So it was a really nice moment. Pero once everyone had left, well, toda la visita, la familia y todo eso,
Mm-hmm.
y la banda, ya cuando se fueron para la casa otra vez, entonces yo, mi hermana Jorge y mis primos nos quedamos, pero yo fui que me acerqué a la tumba de mi abuelita. It was beautiful, by the way. Uh, so over there in my dad's pueblo, they're las tumbas, they're risen. I don't know if
Get
that's,
rise.
yeah, rise.
Mm-hmm.
No están en la tierra.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a lo menos maybe they're buried in the ground. I don't know really. But just the tombstone itself, like is up on ground. And so I had to ask Jorge to help me, like to lift me up because I could not reach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
The
so
girl's
we
short,
ended,
guys. She's
yeah, I'm
short.
really short. And so Jorge ended up finding a rock, like a decent rock where I could
Mm-hmm.
like step on.
Stand, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. And so, once I got close to it, I started bawling. I got really emotional. Excuse me. And I hugged it. Like I like laid on it, like
Mm-hmm.
I hugged it.
Mm-hmm.
Y cuando yo hice eso, I don't know. This is the best way I've explained it to Jorge and my sister because this is the only way that I feel like people will understand what I experienced. Um, so have you ever watched Twilight?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched the last movie where they go to war with whatever
Mm-hmm.
and towards the end, like the very end where Bella is like, I have to show you something, and she projects, and it's all these memories that they've had together from the very first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Así fue lo que yo vi.
Okay.
Exactamente así where she had projected out this like slides or pictures or I don't know, just slides of specific moments in time
Of her
is
life?
of her. It wasn't necessarily her life, but it was memories that we had together that I didn't even remember.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so when that started appearing in my mind's eye, I say mind's eye now, but back then I didn't know exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now, like it was my mind's eye. Um, I got really emotional because she showed me when it was that she first held me as a baby. She showed me this specific moment when I was an early teenager, and I remember this day. We were being driven to my mom's pueblo, to Santa Ana. Um, and I remember, so my grandma, for back a little words, my grandma never, she, it's not that she didn't speak Spanish, porque sí entendía un poquito, pero ellos en el pueblo de mi papá hablan dialecto.
Their
No,
dialect. Mm-hmm.
they don't speak, they speak Spanish, but they
Mm-hmm.
mostly rely on their dialect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sadly, my dad never taught us, right? Because my dad just, you know, he didn't really, I don't want to say he didn't really learn, no, but it's like how we learn Spanish, we don't learn it on a book, you
Right.
know?
We learn
And
it
so
from our
pues
parents.
we learn it from our parents,
Mm-hmm.
exactamente. So my dad couldn't really just teach us because it's a complex dialect, like it's difficult. So my dad was just never took it upon himself. Um, and so growing up, we couldn't really communicate with our grandma the way that I can talk to Huelita,
Mm-hmm.
in Spanish and we can understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would say some things to her in Spanish and she would just look at us and then she would respond to us and we would just kind of look at her and we're like, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We would just kind of nod our heads and and then we would go get my dad and be like, what did she say? Um, um, but I remember this specific we were in the combi and I had asked her if I could put my head down on her leg when we were driving and she kind of just looked at me and she kind of put her hand on my head and like como
Oh,
diciéndome que
okay.
like me poniera
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
y and And she showed me that. She showed me
Mm.
that moment where I had like put my head on
In her
her
lap.
thigh, on
Mm-hmm.
her lap, and I remember hearing like her voice coming through. But it was in a dialect and I didn't understand. And it was so faint that I couldn't even like go back to my dad and be like, what does this mean? Because it was
Right.
just so faint. She
Mm-hmm.
had showed me another a vision, I want to say. I
Mm-hmm.
another vision a donde um a donde fue un año que la llevamos a una playa, que fuimos todos y la llevamos a una playa. And she had shown me herself feeling like very calm at this beach. Like she had shown me an image of her sitting on like one of those lounge chairs by the
Mm-hmm.
beach and just taking it all in. And so that to me was very
Yeah.
sentimental because it was the
Mm-hmm.
first trip that we
They
had
took
taken with her.
together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And durante ese viaje, I was with her the entire time. Like we sat next to each other on the bus, like I was taking care of her. Like it, I don't know, like it was at that time that like I created a bond with her that
Mm-hmm.
you know, so that to me was that got me very sentimental. And then the last one, the last one is the last one that she had shown me was that estaba regañando a mi dad because my dad nos estaba regañando a nosotros and she was kind of laughing about it. And so like that to me like it just I don't know, it was just a beautiful experience and it was a first. And it was just very I was just very sentimental. And then my grandfather, my dad's dad, también, he had passed away at a young age. We
Mm-hmm.
never met him, but he was also
At a
buried
young age from your dad that he passed
from my
away.
dad. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Y él también, pues ahí estaba en el mismo Camposanto. And I wanted to test out if I was going to get the same thing. So I went and I hugged it. And obviously, I got emotional también,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get what I got with my grandma, like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying that I didn't feel anything, but
It was just different.
it was just different.
Mm-hmm.
Pero lo que sí puedo decir es que when we were going back to the house, we had my sister, porque fue mi hermana primero. My sister had seen a
Mm-hmm.
puppy on a tombstone that said Daniel, which is my grandfather's name.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
so my
So,
sister, like I was an emotional wreck. My sister was like, "It's a sign, it's a sign." Like she immediately was like, it's a sign from Abuelito. He's here. He wants us to take the puppy home. Like it's a sign." And I was like, "Yeah, like it's a sign." Um, and so we kind of just stood there and we kind of started crying. And like both me and my sister just started crying and it was like, like they're together now.
mm-hmm.
Um, and and then after that, we were debating if we should take the puppy with us. We didn't. We left it there. But it it was emotional because I had a purple it had purple gems, but it was a butterfly nose ring that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it, like it was on my nose.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember. Y cuando llegamos, ya no estaba, ya no lo tenía. Like it. there, how could it be possible that I fell out? And for whatever reason, because I didn't notice, it was Jorge who noticed. He was like, "What happened to your nose ring?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You had it." And he was like, "And now you don't." And I was like, he was like, "I don't." I was like, "I don't know what happened." But then I got an image in my mind that it was left on my grandma's tombstone. Y de repente entró una mariposa al cuarto and
Mm-hmm.
it literally came in, voló y se salió otra vez.
Oh wow. Oh wait. And your thing was a
And
butterfly.
my thing was a butterfly. And I was like, I think grandma has it. And then after that, I thought I was going to feel more of her presence being at her house, like being there, because she had her
Mm-hmm.
room.
Mm-hmm.
She had her own room, and her own kitchen and everything. And that's where they were doing the misa at. And so on Sunday, pues, on Sunday night, I was in there and I thought I was gonna be, it's not that ¿cómo te puedo explicar? I thought I was going to feel a stronger presence. I'm not saying that I didn't feel a
Mm-hmm.
presence because I definitely felt something, but I guess I had higher expectations of
Right.
feeling something more
Mm-hmm.
intense
Mm-hmm.
than what I was actually feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so overall, like there's there's a lot of different stages to
Yeah, experiences that you have had,
hmm
with in different situations, in different
yeah.
places. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. Last year, igual, it's not that igual, pues, I still wasn't open. I was still shut down. Not shut down. Well, pues sí. Um, I still didn't believe that I um had the
That you were
capabilities.
capable. Mm-hmm.
hmm Yeah, like it was still a very big insecurity of mine. I was at that time I was, you know, trying to find someone who would help me.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wasn't taking the steps necessary to get to that point. Um, but those are my experiences. I have many more. I have a lot. Um, but I mean, those are the most impactful ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
See,
Well, yeah, I guess it's good. You have some memorable ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I
I'm pretty
do.
sure the one with your grandmother, it impacts you in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I agree. There was, I mean, they were all very um incredible experiences. Now that I look back at them, I'm like, holy cow, like
Yeah.
I was really I was really able to see and hear
You were doing something that
things.
you didn't expect that you were able to do. Mm-hmm.
Ándale, ándale, right on the nose, right on the
Mm-hmm.
nose. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And now now that I'm actually trying, I have these insecurities of not being able to. And then even like it's so funny because before, you know, like you just said, of doing something I didn't know I was able to do,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
It
coming
will
to me
come
more
up.
freely
Mm-hmm.
and more
Mm-hmm.
openly and more, you know, so funny how things
See,
work.
because you weren't expecting anything,
Yeah.
you weren't when we know already that we're able to do something, I guess we start to learn how to expect or we
Mm,
want something, to happen
sí.
because we want to keep on, it's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you want to keep on doing.
Yeah.
And when you just don't know that that you have it, it's literally like knocking around your door and saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're able to do this."
Mm-hmm.
And these things come up to you for you to do, but we don't notice them as what they are,
Mm-hmm.
sino as if like, what did I just do? We
Yeah.
question
Yep.
all everything that just happened, and we still in that incredibly not believing and believing at the same time, but then
Mm-hmm.
again, we we brush it off.
We do. We do
We
brush it
brush
off.
it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. It's like I was telling
We
our mentor, Alyssa,
uh-huh.
what happened?
No, no, go ahead.
That I look for reinsurance from you, from
Hmm.
her, everyone except me.
But it comes along with practice. It comes along
Mm-hmm.
with um trusting yourself more.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really today, as you know that I'm watching my show, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it was really interesting because the one person in this show,
Hmm.
she's very in spiritual world and all that. She's very enlightening, and I like how I was telling Jorge, I'm like, I like how she's really sure of what she says and of the things that she do in
The
there, because
confidence is high.
yeah, oh
Hmm.
yeah, oh yeah, that's what I tell him. That's when you have good confidence, and I'm like, and I
Yeah.
love that from her.
Hmm.
Well, she was cooking and she did some salsa roja y salsa verde,
Ooh, yummy.
and she's sharing with the people in her room,
Hmm.
and she's not doing this thing that we do. Well, that I do. Here, taste this to see if it's good, you know?
Oh,
No,
I do that
she's
too.
she's doing this. Here, give it a taste. It's good, you know?
Oh,
Is that she
okay.
knows for sure that it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and I was telling him, I'm like, I really like that from her, that she's
Hmm.
really trusting in herself, that she has that trust level is high.
Hmm.
That she knows for sure that she made, it's good.
Yeah.
And she goes like, está bueno, ¿verdad? Dice, está bueno, dice. Y le dice el otro, se ve bueno, está bueno. Yeah,
Ah,
and I'm
okay.
like, you see how those things change? Just the
Yeah.
wording, it just changes. It
Yes.
changes a lot, and then like, huh? But
Affirmation.
it's a lot of work. I mean, and she has said it. She has said, and as she talks, is
Hmm.
like it's a lot of work. She's like,
Oh yeah.
it's 20 plus years of work,
Hmm.
and she's like, and you work every day. That's a work in progress every single day.
Yeah.
And and we'll get there.
We
We'll get
will.
there.
We will
Um,
get.
because I feel like we have gone through some, in some phases of our life where we were put down, we were let down, we
Hmm.
were,
Preach it.
and
No, but see.
in a lot of different ways, and it takes time. It's really easy to put somebody down in a split second,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
really hard to bring up that the what was damaged in that split second to repair it, in
Because it
years.
takes more than that second to repair, yeah,
Yeah.
repair it.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes along with, trusting. I always tell my kids, I could put in all my trust in you. We could start as me putting my trust in you. But once you break that trust, it's gone. You gotta
Yeah.
work the extra double,
Mm-hmm.
to have my trust back.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's what
true.
that's all it is, it's just trusting ourselves, and we'll work, keep on working on it, and we'll get
Hmm.
there. We'll get there
We
because
will.
I still even need, that reaffirming, that confirmation from her, as well.
Hmm.
Um, I let go a little bit. I have let go a little bit, and making sure that I trust myself, but it, it's a work in progress. You gotta keep on working on it. And we'll
We
get there.
do. And
And
we
we'll
get,
get
yes, we
there.
will.
We will
Yes,
get
we
there.
will. Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
You see?
we will. We will.
We will.
It could take a year, but we will.
It can
It
take as
could.
long as it wants, but we'll get there.
See. Yeah. Yeah. I guess this is it for today.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
for
it
letting me
was.
share. I I'm just I just find it so cool how you were able to pick up on the grandmother because that's exactly what who it was. It was a grandmother. That to me, that happened, like I said, years ago.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow.
Well, like I said, even before we even started, or yeah, before we even started, I have, for some reason, my notebook is inside my bag, and I grabbed from my bag and my pen,
Hmm.
and that's when I started to scribble, or I started to write, and I
Yeah.
have a couple of things there, but yeah.
No, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Well, that's una cosa que le aprendí a Alyssa. Grab
Yeah,
your
she
pen,
actually,
grab
she
your
actually
pen, grab your
told me.
notebook, and start writing. Write
Hmm.
wherever comes out.
Yep, that it's so funny because on Sunday I met with her via Zoom. And I was telling her how I was having trouble with some stuff, and so she told me the same thing. She was like,
Mhm.
"Try pen and paper, pen and
Mhm.
paper." She's like, "It's not gonna look pretty." She's like, "But
Mhm.
just pen and paper." I like the
Yeah.
sun. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. It's
Yeah.
shapes, letters, words.
Hmm.
And I tell him, like, but I'm not good at drawing. She's like, neither am I.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess see you next week.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on our Instagram, on Spotify and TikTok. And TikTok. Alrighty.
All right, bye.
Okay. Bye.